Hello, welcome to Journey Through the Innerverse. We are so excited to be here today for our Dark Moon Dream Reflections chat for this Virgo new moon. Alexis, welcome. How are you doing today?
I strangely am feeling pretty good today, but I am absolutely exhausted. As I'm sure a lot of you know, if you are on the East Coast right now, specifically the northern East Coast, it's been chillier and a little rainy, which I love, but it does make me want to be in a nap all day.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely feeling that exhaustion and but I'm good. I'm good overall. How are you doing today?
Man, the past couple of days kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. Yesterday was probably like the worst I felt today yesterday is Tuesday. So I was gonna say this week, but it's only Wednesday. So yeah, this week has been pretty intense. I'm feeling a bit better today. I'm on the other
Good.
end of it. I hope, cross my fingers. But yeah, like you were saying today, it's been the high in Syracuse was like 68 and it was rainy, pretty much no sun. So that means it probably felt like 65. In the house it was cold. So I was really happy I got to bundle up and I did want to be in the bed all day. I took an extra hour to lay in the bed. I'm so grateful that I could do that. Um, but at the same time, yeah, I still had things I had to do. And supposedly there is a hurricane that is happening um, at this moment, I guess. Like, I think it's going to go back out to sea. But I think if you're on the northeast of the United States, I'm sure you're getting like this is kind of like the maybe not the aftermath, but the outskirts or remnants of, the climate there with the hurricane and all of that. So hopefully no like intense damage occurred. I haven't really heard anything. I just learned of this earlier today talking to my mother, and she's in Maryland. So wishing the best. Hopefully everyone's safe, and these storms, they do get really intense. And yeah, I'm grateful that I'm just getting the rain and the cold weather. I'm like, okay, that's fine, I'll deal. So that is where we are.
Yeah, I don't mind the
So
cooler, wet weather. I can handle that. I don't want any damage. I don't want any flooding. I don't want
yeah,
anybody to die. But
yeah,
I like that it feels kind of like twilight weather right now, and I'm just
yeah,
leaning into that.
yeah. It does feel kind of like autumnish is what I'm feeling. I'm like, wait, I'm not ready yet. Like I packed away my blankets and my sweaters, which is funny because I packed them away probably like when I got back from Maryland, which was like the beginning of July. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sick of looking at these. They're taking up space in my closet and, whatever. And now it's just mid August. And I'm like, I need that weighted blanket and these sweaters. And yeah, so I haven't gotten them yet, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do it. And I'm still in the midst, honestly, of doing the like cleaning of the home, for the because it's interesting. We're not in spring, but it's like that opposite end of the spectrum that we're moving into, which is like we're gonna be inside more. So I would love to have a clean home and like, I really need to dust and mop the floors and just do like a big deep cleaning. So I feel nice and cozy in the house. So I'm slowly doing a little bit at a time.
I'm right there with you. I have to do a deep clean. Like I've been looking at some areas and I'm just like, oh, I haven't had the time, but I'm like the immediately when I do have that time, I'm jumping on it and getting that shit done because I'm sick of looking at it. It does,
I
it changes your entire environment. Like you clean up your area, even if you just clean up one area and organize it and just get the dust out, there's a different energy that you get from it.
Yeah, I feel that when your house is really like I would say dusty. My house isn't necessarily dirty. It's dusty and it's cluttered. And
Yep.
I know this because I have spiders like everywhere, like the wine cellar spiders, but they're like mostly like maybe they had babies, so they're little ones. But Sidori is like she's okay with bugs, but spiders, like you got to get them out. So we have a whole
Yep.
ritual of like how we get them out and put them out the window. But yeah, so I'm like, we're doing it at least once or twice a day because she's looking for them. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna deep clean this house and then, it'll be nice and fresh. We'll have like a lemon smell, citrus smell, and just
Oh.
be able to open the windows
Exactly.
like a few, you know, good times. And
Or like even doing after you clean a simmer pot with like
yes,
cinnamon and
I
apple
love
or
that.
something.
Mhm.
Ooh, I'm
So we're looking
already
forward
into the
to
fall.
the
I've been
change of the
feeling like fall
season.
for a while, so
Yeah,
yes.
we're getting
Yes,
excited.
we are.
We're getting excited. All right, so before we get into the real chat of the energy and how our dream space has been over the cycle of this previous moon that was initiated with a Leo new moon, we'll get into all those details. But first, I want to say hello to Mary. Thank you so much, Mary, for being here. Mary says today was a doozy. She said she brought some plants in that made her happy. So some plants from
Oh,
outside, I'm sure. I started bringing my plants from outside in too. So yeah, let's talk about what we have going on, like our announcements, our updates. What do you want to
all
talk
right, updates. Well, of course, if you have been listening for a while, you know that Urania and I, participate in a dream app called Dreamigos. If you're new, this is an incredible app. It is a dream recording app, so it gives you a variety of different ways to record your dreams. You can keep them private, or you can upload them to the Dreamline, which is like a public space for the community where dream experts like Urania and I can get on and interpret and give you some guidance. You can find this app on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, and it's really great. We love it.
And this coming Tuesday, so by the time you all listen to it, it'll be Tuesday, August 26th. That's coming up. There is another free dream circle through Dreamigos. Alexis and I will be there. We're not hosting, but we'll be a part of the participants. So we're really excited. One of the fellow dream experts will be hosting this one. Her name is Pam, and she's going to be sharing her special method on dream interpretation, how she, what am I unravels, I guess, our
The
dreams.
messages,
Yeah,
yeah.
the messages within the dream. So yeah, definitely join us. That is August 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. The registration link is going to be in the description of this video, along with the links to Dreamigos website, so you can download the app from there. Awesome. So, yeah, let's talk about the energy, how the energy has been over the past like 28, 30 days. And we began, as I mentioned, with a Leo new moon on July 24th. And what is upcoming on August 23rd is the Virgo new moon. So we're basically looking in like from that time frame to the next new moon, although we're recording this on August 20th. So, we're reflecting about a couple of days before the actual new moon, but yeah, have you had any specific themes in reference to like within your dream space, or how has your dream space been as far as, have you been pretty good with your dream recall and recording, or have you been super busy? What's going on in your dream space, Alexis?
So my dream space has been very interesting this cycle. I've been having much longer dreams. My recall has been better. But because I've also been very busy in the waking, which, you know, makes sense in one aspect. My dreams have been very busy. My waking space has been very busy. But normally for me, when my waking space is very busy, I don't dream as frequently because it's like all my energy is being gathered and put towards what I'm doing in my waking space. I have been dealing with a lot of dream residue when I wake up. So I've talked about Urania. I've talked to Urania about my dream residue, and I kind of like, you talk a lot about day residue, where when you go to sleep, you have aspects of your day come through in your dreams. Well, dream residue is when you wake up and you are still feeling connected to the dream. And this has happened quite a bit in my life, but I've been noticing the cycle, it's been kind of more intense, where I'll wake up, I'll get ready, I'll drive to work, I'll work for a couple hours, and I still feel like there's this strong connection still to my dream space, and I can't really get out of that like weird, shifty space. But it's definitely been busy. My dreams have definitely been long. Uh, some day residue for sure has been being consistent in my dreams. This cycle, this whole month has just been very insane. So it makes sense. But yeah, I would say that all of those things have been consistent. How about you?
Yeah, no, I started off really strong at the beginning of the lunar cycle. I was having very profound dreams in the sense of profound for myself, in the
Right.
sense of I remembered a lot. And generally, when I remember a lot of details of the dream was very impactful for me and it was exciting, even if it was a scary or anxious dream. There was still like I wanted to hold on to it. Like there was like this innate um like desire and ability to hold on to more details. And so I have been really disciplined with waking up, and actually I'm still doing the computer thing, which I do really enjoy. So I've been doing the computer and just having a routine, and it's been easy. This is probably going to be, I don't want to set anything in stone, but I would say I feel that this month of like this, this lunar cycle might be one of the easiest as far as my dream recall and my routine with recording my dreams, at least for the rest of the year, because my daughter's going back to school. And so there's going to be, the whole routine of getting up and just feeling like she's got to be to school at 8:30, right? So I got to get her up in time to eat and get dressed and all of that. So getting up early enough to write my dreams is going to be, it's going to take some practice, some discipline. And so, I'm just having grace with myself. But yeah, and then, with the previous episode that we did, the previous chat that we had on alchemizing dreams into art, I was really inspired by that. And the very next day I woke up, I had a really good dream. Actually, was that the good one? Yeah, well, it was okay. But I felt like connected to it enough to like, oh, let me capture my emotion in, some pastel art. And I'm not going to be showing you guys because I love you, but I'm not vulnerable enough for that yet. It just looks really childish to me, but I'm embracing that. It's good, but I don't know if I can share it quite yet. So that day, and then the next day um also did some artwork with the pastels based on a dream, and then that dream was different because that dream had a lot of like shame and guilt in the dream that I was processing, and a lot of sadness. And so that was interesting to do the art for. And then it was interesting because in the dream, just to say briefly, because this isn't the dream that I'm going to share, but basically in the dream, like it was initially kind of heavy with the shame and guilt. But there was kind of like this like background tone of like of I wouldn't say happiness, but just like being at peace.
Ooh.
And also opening to love. And that came out in my picture too. And I felt when I was like, I wanted to go to the picture, and I'm like, I started with like brown and gray, and then I ended up using like some warmer colors um, like before I finished. And it kind of like, it felt, I was like, oh, okay, this was definitely the flow of the dream, how it was like the heavy emotions then flowing into something like warmer and more inviting. And so, yeah, but then after that, your girl fell off, and I don't even know if I recorded any dreams after that, because that was, yeah, so that would have been like the weekend, like around that time last week. And like I said, it was busy. It was a really crazy weekend.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, this week just kind of blew me away. And it's only Wednesday, so here we are.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that this dream you had, even though there was a lot of anxiety and stress, there was also this like background tone of happiness and joy. And that's such an interesting, it's so interesting because it's almost like you can be you can feel those things all at once. Like you
Yeah.
can be happy, you can be joyful and also feel sad and anxious and depressed or nervous or whatever those quote unquote bad feelings, because they're not really bad feelings. They're just feelings. They're just, they don't feel great. But it's interesting, and I love that you were inspired And I like that's incredible because as we talked in the last episode, you can get AI or someone else to draw your dream for you, but there's a type of energy and feeling that comes with only what you saw in there. So even if like you don't love where you're at skill wise with your own art, there's a certain energy that nothing else is going to be able to capture except for yourself. And I think that's something that's really important for all of you guys out there to hear because, adding that layer of art, alchemizing your dreams into a visual in the tangible like waking space just adds another layer of understanding to your subconscious, your unconscious. So I know that you're not like ready to share, but when you are, I'm so excited and I'm super rooting for you because it does something. Even if it's just colors, it does something.
Yeah. And it's so therapeutic. I mean, all of us, I'm going to say all of us, like we know how relaxing and satisfying it is to color. Like just to have time to yourself to like color, a coloring book, a picture, or just to like doodle. Like it's so relaxing. And so that's one of the things I told myself. I'm like, this is can essentially be a doodle of your dream. So I don't have to make it too serious. But after talking to Alexis about it, I was inspired to like I watched some videos about pastels, and I'm not gonna lie, it did not discourage me, but I was like, oh shit, all right, there's a lot that goes into this. And I know I don't have to like take it that serious, but yeah. So but I do
It's
feel
hard
called
when
to,
you
yeah.
have something up here and you can't replicate it exactly down here. Like
Yeah.
it really it's very frustrating. Even as an artist, like I've been doing art my entire life, and there are so many instances now where translating exactly what I'm seeing doesn't come through the way I want it to. And it is very discouraging and it can be very like off-putting to want to go back to it or continue further because, say, what is in my head requires a level of skill that I haven't developed yet. It's still there, but I just can't get it to be what it is in my head on paper. And it's very frustrating. It is very frustrating. However, um, you do it little by little. I think one like you see a finished product and you're like, I want to do that. I want to have that in completion. I want all the details. I want all the depth. I want everything. But it takes a while to get there and it's a lot of patience and gentleness
Yeah.
for
But
sure.
now that, we're having this conversation and I'm thinking about all of this and thinking about, discussing the Leo energy in reference to this lunar cycle. And I'm like, wow, this just naturally, organically happened.
Yeah.
We didn't plan to, we're not really that um discipline or structure to have a whole long schedule of our topics. Like we've been getting better. So we've been
Yeah.
having a couple weeks planned out, but our previous episode was inspired by our episode on Carl Jung that we did. So we're like, hey, we should, do the next one. We should talk about, dreams and art. And that was perfect because we are in the season of Leo, which is the sign of creativity, of passion, of self expression, creative expression, and sharing that with others. And so, I was literally going to think about, mention what the themes are and to see if that showed up in your dreaming space. And I could say for myself that definitely showed up. And, as far as a few other themes or qualities of Leo that may show up, you could have dream themes around worthiness, around being seen and heard, affirmation or basically self validation. What else?
Inspiration for new ideas in your waking space.
Yeah. So, and putting a lot of, focus on your dreams in the sense of like letting them take the forefront, or maybe this season your dream space did take the forefront. So, I'm curious, for those of you listening, either live or, watching the replay, how did this Leo season, how did your dream space reflect any of these Leo qualities, we would love to know.
And speaking of reflecting Leo qualities, maybe even a theme of mirrors, like looking yourself
The
in
idea.
your own eyes, or like addressing yourself, reflecting your own self. I'd love to hear about that too, if, mirrors came up in your dreams.
So Alexis and I are going to share a dream. Each of us are going to share a dream and just talk and discuss. And also, we're going to share some cards for this upcoming season, Oracle and Tarot. But first, before we get into all of that, I just want to just briefly touch on Virgo new moon and Virgo season. So the Virgo new moon is on August 23rd, and that's generally, if you are in the northern hemisphere, or not necessarily northern hemisphere, but anyway, let me not confuse everyone. More than likely, it's on Saturday. I was going to say it might be Saturday, it might be Sunday, but more than likely, it's on Saturday for us. And Virgo season is literally the day, or Virgo season starts the day before. And so, what I'm getting with this Virgo energy, honestly, it's like detox, like heavy detox, like the typical clean, cleanse, purify. And so, if we're going to channel this energy into our dream space, we could, cleanse our bedrooms, like make sure. And I was thinking about today, I washed my bed sheets
Oh,
and the rest of my bedding, and I want to do some other, like, I want to change something in the bedroom because I really love switching things up, and that
mhm.
makes things feel fresh too, and just like get the energy flowing in a different way in the bedroom. And so I did also turn my mattress, because I've just been like, I've been having stressful sleep, so that
Right.
was the end of my cycle, was the anxious dreams. And um yeah, so that's something. I don't know if you want to add to that.
I mean, in regards to this big cleanse that, this cleansing energy that's coming through too, like think about how your dreams are going to reflect that cleansing, or even organization. Um, but yeah, I completely agree. Right now is a good time to really like go into the bedroom, clean up, wash, refresh, move things around, even like charging your crystals and, putting up new protection wards and um smoke cleansing or bell cleansing, really like getting, like you said, the energy flowing in a different way.
And what's interesting too is that we're actually going to have two Virgo new moons back to back. So the next one's actually going to be an eclipse. So this season, you really, really want to get your shit together, get organized, get clean, because the next lunar cycle, well, really, it's going to be, the eclipse season starts with the full moon in Pisces, which is going to be um, in September. And then right before Libra season starts, we're going to have another Virgo new moon in like the day before, and it's going to be eclipse. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm like, something's going on with Virgo season. So
100%.
definitely want to freshen up this space for
Yeah,
what.
don't stress about it. Just
Yeah.
just lean into your intuition, and the cleansing may be, ending chapters of your life, closing the door on old chapters, or, maybe refreshing relationships, friends, reaching out to people that you miss, or deciding not to talk to people who might not be best for you, cleansing in all the ways that you can.
Yeah, and also another thing too is I think, like, what's coming to mind, because this is very personal to me, is I like what Mary said, spiritual tune up. That's something that that
Yes.
that sparked this. But yeah, like tending to your day to day, because as Alexis said, when she's really busy, and this is something that I experience too, and I'm sure a lot of you all experience this, when you're really busy, or you're stressed, you got a lot going on, you aren't remembering your dreams, or you don't have time to sit, like, because you're waking up to go do whatever you need to do, or maybe you go to bed with the stress, with the anxiety from the day, right? So we're not clearing it. And so we do also want to make sure we can tend to our day to day and really cleanse that as well, or just kind of get a little bit of structure on some things, and have that support for ourselves when we are knowing that we are going to be in a stressful moment, or say we're coming into eclipse season. What will be supportive and restorative for us as we move through this, intense energy? So that's something to keep in mind, because that will naturally reflect in the dreaming space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All of those were great points, and I'm interested to see what you guys do for the season.
All right. So, do you want to share your dream first? Who wants to go first?
Sure. I mean, it's totally up to you, but I'm good with whatever.
I don't care. The
Okay, I'll
Libra
go
has
first.
to decide.
I'll go first. I'll make that decision. So I had this dream on Thursday, and I already told you. It was definitely um I spent a lot of time in the dream, and a lot happened. And I was lucid, and I was just like experiencing and exploring, and like leaning into the dream people who were there, and just, you know, enjoying my time. Um Aside from a few anxious moments, but they weren't really that anxious. Like they were more so a hint of anxiety, because when you're lucid, you just kind of know that you're not really in danger. There's not really anything going on. But the event itself can be like, ooh, that was a lot.
Yeah, I can, sense that, like, you can't always have control over your emotions, even if you are in the dream. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of like waking life, like you're aware of it, but still it's like, I don't know, that's true mastery too, because that's something, sorry to interrupt, but this
No,
is
no, no.
coming through. It's like, I'm thinking about that in waking life, in the sense of knowing that you can't really change your environment, but being able to like master your emotions while you're experiencing the environment. And it's natural to feel certain things. So, anyways, like, that made me think about that.
Well, it makes, you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of when like you play VR. Say you're playing a VR horror game. You're aware you're not in the game, but you're seeing it, and it feels like you're there, and you're still getting the jump scares, but you know you can take the helmet off at any point. It's not real. Like it's not, you're not, nothing's going to happen, but you're still feeling it because it's an experience. So that's kind of how this was for me. And yeah, so I guess I'll just dive right in. So I was outside of a weird set of apartments that were all interconnected. So it was like it reminded me of like a narrow street with the same type of apartment buildings on either side. And they were only one level, it seemed, maybe two levels. And again, there were rows. So we were in this like alley between the two sets. And as I was walking with a few people towards the doors to go in the apartment, I noticed a very large bat draped over the awning. It was sleeping peacefully. Its little wing was hanging over the edge of the awning, and it just looked so peaceful. For that moment, I could like zoom in. It was like I was down here, and then I was just looking at it as if it was right in front of me. And then I just walked into the apartment. So it was more like a nice observation, and then I moved on. So the people I was with were talking, and we were walking through our apartment. Um, but then we had to enter the apartment because one of my friends was looking for something. I was on my phone when someone I knew's Instagram popped up. They had posted weird videos of themselves in a yoga studio doing sexual acts with the yoga instructor. Um, so, for example, the camera was angled at their pelvis bone area while they were being thrusted. I was immediately grossed out and just kept scrolling. While I'm doing that, I grabbed a bag that was in the neighbor's apartment and placed it aside with the intention of stealing it. A similar group to us, two guys and a girl, walk in, and they're clearly not friendly. My one friend was talking to them nicely, trying to ask about something he was looking for, but they were suspicious and apprehensive. After the conversation with the girl on the wait, After the conversation, the girl in the group said that my one friend had to go home, and he got pissed off, spilled his drink all over their stuff, and then just disappeared like a flash, just gone, poof. Then I stopped and talked to the girl by myself about the videos that I had saw. When I showed her them, she instantly recognized the location. She said to me, "I know where these are, but it's across dimensions." She then asked if I wanted her to take me there. I was curious, so I said yes. We then both entered this elevator in the apartment. It had spontaneously appeared in the middle of the room. The doors closed and everything went black. The elevator then began to shake and move. I felt the walls breathing and bending and morphing around me. I felt very uncomfortable because everything felt very unstable. So I closed my eyes and held on for dear life until the whole thing stopped and the doors opened. As I stepped out, I looked around and realized it was almost the same as where we left from, except it was a lot dingier, a lot dirtier. We were outside of the apartments again, but it was weird. The energy was completely off, and you could just tell you were somewhere else. While outside of the elevator, I met up with another friend of mine and talked briefly about the ridiculous shit that was posted on Instagram. Sorry, I lost my sorry, I lost my place. Oh yeah. So the girl who took me on the elevator started guiding us where we needed to be. We walked through the alternative reality apartments and then like basically phased through a
Did
wall,
you say
which
alternative reality apartments?
yeah, so
Is that the name of it?
we're just in a different dimension. Like
Oh,
it's an
okay.
alternate
But that was
reality. No, 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 it wasn't
like,
like the name of
wow.
it. It was just like this other realities
Right.
apartments.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so we were walking through those apartments when we phased through the wall, which led us to the studio. The girl said this is exactly the yoga studio that was in the videos. Um, there was no one there though, so we didn't really linger because there wasn't really any reason to. Like it was just my curiosity that had piqued, like, yeah, show me this location. Um, but at that point, my friend had mentioned that she was looking for a computer and asked if there was a store around. The girl said yes, but warned us that nothing would be new. In this dimension, everything was secondhand. It was basically like everything forgotten, lost, or thrown away from our original dimension ended up there. We entered a huge store, kind of like Sears, but filled with all kinds of old used models of computers and parts. So much so that the shelves were completely crowded and stocked. My friend started exploring the store, though not seeing really what she was looking for. I hung back. I walked over to one of the shop owners and talked to him for a bit. I found that his kind personality was wildly attractive. After a while, I looked around the store, but I couldn't find my friend. So I checked my phone, and she had texted me that she had left this alternate reality. I was a bit anxious, as now I was alone and had no idea how to get back to our original dimension. I asked the shop owner if he could help me, and he said yes, but I'm going to have to go to a specific area, which he offered to take me to, and wait for a specific time. For that exact time is what is going to be the key to allow me to bounce into my reality again. He said, "You have to make sure you go back at exactly 4:30." He then led me to this location, which kind of felt like Penn Station, but instead of the trains, they were all elevators. To get to that location we had just entered, we just phased through a couple different walls. Like we like walked through a bunch of walls and then ended in this like Penn Station like area where the trains weren't there, but they were all elevator stations. Um, as we were hanging and walking, he led me to a nail salon. He said, "This is where a lot of people hang out while they wait. You can get your nails done. I'll pay. When the time is right, I can help you jump back into your own dimension." I was basically like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll get my nails done for free. Fuck it, I don't care. So I sat down, started getting my nails done, and he got up to leave. When he got up to leave, I looked down at my phone to check the time, but my phone was no longer my iPhone. It was this very basic phone from the 90s where the screen didn't even have a backlight. Um, the only thing it really told was time, and it was at the top of the right corner of the screen. But what happened was it would have the current dimensional time, and it would continuously move through all of the dimensions different times. So you would have, like, say it was like, I don't know, 350 in the dimension we were at. It would then go to like 1625 from another dimension, and then back to the 350, and then 235, and then back to
So it's almost
350.
like changing like the channel. Like they were almost like channel numbers that would take,
Yeah,
but it was like time, but also the time or like, let's go. This time is for this dimension. And oh, okay. Okay.
exactly. And so what would happen was the it would always go back in between different dimensions. It would always go back to the one you were currently in. So
Right.
you're never away from that time for long. It would be like continuously switching, but in between each number, you'd be back at the original dimensional time. So it did confuse and stress me out a bit. The guy who was there with me had left, and when I looked up from my phone, Sharon Osbourne had sat down next to me. I was very shocked. I expressed my condolences. I said, "Oh, hello. I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope you and your family are okay." And Sharon said, "Don't worry about it, dear. I never have to worry about losing Ozzy because I can visit him here." I just responded, "Oh," before realizing I hadn't checked my phone for the time in a while. So even though that was a very short conversation, like 20 minutes went by. So when I checked again, the time had passed 4:30 and I lost my opportunity to go back home. And then I woke up.
I'm so glad that you wrote this dream down because I'm like, this needs to be like a short story or a book or like a movie. Wow, that is so freaking cool. Like,
Thank you.
one, I definitely believe that you traveled. And also, what I really loved is like the bat. So when I listened to this, I got the abridged version. I didn't, so when you first started, I was listening, I was like, I don't think I've heard this one. But then there were little parts, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I think when you mentioned an elevator, like traveling or something to dimension, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So what I really liked was the bat. So for many many reasons. So for one, bats. I feel like this bat was like the portal for you in a sense, or like opened you up, or because bats tend to represent like the liminal space, the transition, the darkness. So I'm thinking about with the darkness or that nocturnal energy. I'm thinking about like the void, so to speak, like just pure darkness. And for me personally, when I did astral travel, I went through like a tunnel of darkness, like with like little like silver lights, right? Like stars, basically. So that made me think about that. And then I love how you like zoomed into the bat. So like zooming into the bat to me spoke to as like it was like again like this is you traveling or your way to travel. Like maybe it's just like you making this connection with the bat, especially because you have a strong connection with bats. So it even to me felt like a spirit guide, um or again like a way to travel. Like that was you moving through a portal. Like it like shifted your frequency
Yep.
in a way to travel. And that could be, traveling literally, in your dreams, astral travel, or obviously it could be symbolic. Um, but yeah, and I feel like just everything with like the retro time or like the retro phones and like the elevators, it really felt like one, it felt like kind of like a Twilight Zone episode, but then also it felt, like, yeah, you were in a parallel reality, like where, maybe we didn't have that whole boom of technology and we were still utilizing these old devices and stuff. And, but using it in a way that was kind of advanced and say how we were kind of using it here, because obviously we weren't using those old school phones to travel time, like travel through dimensions. And so it was like an alternate reality that kind of kept the technology simplified in a way that they still could use as advanced technology. So,
Yeah.
and it was like recycled too. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
that whole thing was, oh,
Well, and that was such an interesting aspect of it because like that was the biggest aspect of this dream is that it was like everything from our reality that we lost, threw away, or forgot about magically ended up there. So it was like this was like a second hand version of our own dimension.
And also the thing that I love about that too, it really makes me like dig into this kind of like theory of parallel realities, because and this is why the phone and like the time that was essentially to me felt like channels, like the dial would send you to another dimension. Like some theories say that, or there's the example of, your frequency is like what determines where you what lifetime or what parallel reality you'll be in, right? So it could be very very similar to this reality, but like you just shift a little bit in your frequency, and like you're in the reality or the timeline where everything's working out for you and everything's lined up and you're having, or the other side where, oh, this is the reality where it's like everything's really hard, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like compared to changing the channel on like a TV where like that reality still happens, but I'm changing to channel 5 now, and so I'm focused on this channel. I'm watching this, or I'm a part of this while that's still happening, but I'm on a different station. So
And it
that
makes me think like, okay, so did I wake up? Because when they talk about dimensional, like different dimensions and stuff, it could be a dimension that is exactly the same except for one little detail that you wouldn't really be able to pick up or like hone in on. So then that makes me think, okay, well, when I woke up from this dream, did I wake up in the right dimension, essentially? Will I ever know?
right.
But
Oh
like
my
that's the thing. It's like if we go to sleep and we wake up in different versions of our reality that we can't actually tell aren't the original version of our reality, how will we ever know that we're like interdimensionally traveling?
yeah, you
And
don't. Yeah.
one of the coolest aspects about this dream, in my opinion, was the transition to the other dimension. Getting in this elevator and experiencing the travel of it. I wish I could like send you your own personalized version of what I experienced because everything went really cold. The elevator wasn't just shaking and doing something crazy like a normal like scary elevator type of thing, if you get on an elevator and it's not working properly, or like
Yeah.
when you see it in movies. It wasn't like that. It was like everything was breathing, like it was a living being, and it was morphing and warping, and you could feel like it felt like you were going through different, like, I don't know, like energy fields, and you know and it was intense, and it was I mean, I just was holding on with my eyes squeezed closed, like just like obviously I can't do anything, I can't go anywhere, and I didn't want to. I
Well, you could, but
voluntarily,
you chose
yeah,
not to because you don't
yeah.
do that. Yes.
I
And this is let
voluntarily
me just
wanted
say,
to go.
this is this is why I love like lucid dreaming or the dreaming space in general, and talking about this like as we do, because it's so reflective of our waking life, because this is controversial to say, but we've heard this before, that we choose our reality, right? We make the choices and we show up in this way. And so that was a perfect example. Like you were in that experience, like you could have chose, like you could have been like, I don't want to do this. Like, I want to be in this place, right?
Yeah,
Which most
absolutely.
people do, or not most people, but that's the thing that you can do when you're lucid. But you naturally, you are wanting to experience that and make the little choices in the dream, but you don't want to change the whole timeline or the narrative or the direction of the dream. And so that's just, it's incredibly profound and on point. So,
It was so profound, and it was so interesting, and like even the realization of getting off of that elevator and you recognize everything this is the same but completely different. The energy change, it's almost like a little more humid, a little warmer. Everything's just a little more yellow. Things just feel off. They don't feel the like where you're originally from. And it was just, it was so interesting, and I keep thinking about that aspect, like this dimension, what is basically where all things forgotten and lost go to, and it's just like that aspect. I don't know, it was an experience that I really loved, and I was really excited to share.
I'm so glad that you shared this on the podcast because I'm like, do not lose that. And I'm probably going to have to listen back and type it up because honestly, that's a powerful, like you can do so much with that, especially that you have like the name of this place. Like, I love it. My dream does not even compare. I should have let you go last because I'm just like, damn, I don't even, you know what? I don't even remember. Oh no, I know what dream I'm going to share. But is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I just like, I definitely astral traveled. It was a lot of fun. I always really enjoy astral traveling. It's something that's really exciting for me. And you kind of just know you're elsewhere and you really embrace it. And like I said, when you're lucid dreaming, you can choose to change your, experience. But there's something really beautiful and rich about staying in the experience, that what has been laid out for you, and just embracing what's to come with your awareness of things, acknowledging, how the people around you are acting, what they're saying, how you're feeling, the temperature, the way that the weather is outside, the color of things, the energy, everything. There's something just so nice about embracing the lucidity in a way where you're, observing and moving through. You're not entirely the observer, because you do, like, you're making decisions for yourself. They're just not big, but it's a beautiful experience, and it kind of feels a
Waking,
little bit
yeah.
like.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's kind of like waking,
I was
like
just gonna say
we can't change the
that's what I
whole
was gonna
like
say.
trajectory of our life direction, but we're making little choices. Like we can make big choices.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you do want to surrender to your you know what? I'm gonna save this because this sounds like an episode. I'm about to write it down because we need to have a chat about this.
No, it's
So
true
good.
though. Like, you
I love
can
it.
choose when you're driving in the waking space. You can choose whether to go left or right at that stop sign, and it's going to bring you to a different location, and that's what it feels like when you're in this type of lucid dream, where you get to make the decision for yourself, but whatever is to come, you kind of accept and move through and see how it comes through. And I was really excited to share that, so thank you so much. I have not been writing my dreams down, however, I have been voice messaging Urania anytime I have them. And I was actually disappointed because the one I not the one from last night, but the night before, I told you on a separate, like, on our own, like, little Zoom call.
Oh,
And
you
I
did
didn't
send me that.
I
Yeah,
didn't
we don't have it
like
recorded.
I
I
didn't
kind of
send it in
remember
a
that one
message,
though.
so I don't have it.
That's the one I thought you were sharing. So I was already confused when you started. I was like, wait, this wasn't. I don't think I heard this one. This isn't the one I just heard. But yeah, so that makes sense. Awesome.
But that's all.
All right. So I don't know if I told you this one. This was on July 28th. So it was like right at the beginning of the like new moon or right in the beginning of that season where I was really yeah. Okay, let me see. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I have showed this. So this is kind of a long one too. Sorry guys. All right. So I was outside of a grand mall or college campus type setting. The stores were outside as it was an outside mall. I was trying to find a cell and also something to eat, maybe. I searched around the campus slash mall because it was kind of like it was hard to decide. There was both. It was really nice as there was a large body of water, possibly a lake right next to the campus. I didn't see any interesting stores, so I decided to head home. I walked in the direction of the exit and I walked right past a friend as she was eating with another friend. I was walking so fast, I wasn't sure if she saw me too, but I didn't want to interrupt and honestly didn't feel like talking to anyone. As I exited the main shopping area, I was in a city setting similar to Georgetown in DC. I debated in catching the metro home, which the metro is a subway in DC, And then I had an anxious feeling and didn't want to potentially get stuck on the subway train if something major was to happen. So I decided to drive my car back home. It's late, so there won't be much traffic. Walking to my car, I noticed a Victoria's Secret and wanted to check it out as there were sales and I could use more underwear. I go in and browse and I'm not really seeing anything. Just as I decided to just leave, I saw an escalator going to the sale clearance area. I thought perfect. I'll check it out real quick. And to my disappointment, there wasn't anything. I was carrying a to-go box of food and Sidori's stuffed horse Onyx. I had I had set them down to look around and I almost forgot them. When I realized it, I saw an older woman pick up Onyx to take home with her. I rushed over to her and told her that was mine. She was hesitant to give it back. She showed resistance. Then we heard two loud booms coming from downstairs. The few of us upstairs were sorry, were scared that there was a shooter or something down there and didn't want to alert them that we were upstairs. We quietly devised a plan to escape without going downstairs. We noticed there was an attic door or opening in the ceiling. We all decided to go into the attic and maybe find a way out from there. The attic was set up like an apartment and there was a patio balcony available. We looked out there, and from the patio, there was an emergency stair ladder, but it wasn't complete. And it was actually frozen and wintry outside. It was absolutely not safe as we were so high up. This was so it was wintry and snowy when I looked out the patio, but when I was out there, it was, fine. I was probably out there without a coat or anything. It wasn't winter. So that was
Hmm.
interesting. We had to go back down. At the attic door opening, we overheard the store executives that there were two small explosions, like a TV or something. We thought it was safe to go back to the main floor, and so we all snuck down from the attic without them seeing us. We got down to the main floor, and there was a manager who was taking names and giving out forms. This was a ticket out of the building, almost like a permission slip. I got to the table to fill in my name. I told her my name, Urania, and she was really annoyed by my name, I felt. She gave me resistance as if she didn't want me to get free. She didn't want to give me permission. Finally, I began writing my name and she told me I should write Roman no name. So that was like what she said, Roman no name. It's easier. I disagreed with her. I had a feeling if I didn't write my name exactly, I wouldn't be able to leave as we had to show someone the form after completing and printing it. I wrote my name and it was very faint, hard to see as I was writing with a pencil, I think. So I grabbed a pen to bold in my name and she questioned me about it. Then she said, "Hurry along, Portia," like, really snooty, like Portia, like she knew my secret. She said it in a way that she knew my secret. It was funny, I wrote that. My birth name. I didn't care and condescendingly said, "Good for you," and rolled my eyes. As I, as I left the table, I tried to print my form from the phone. I needed to have this form. It wouldn't print. I turned to my friend, a different friend. She just happened to be there. She popped up, who happened to be, oh, that's funny, who happened to be next to me and asked her if she printed hers. And she said, yeah, she had no issues. And then the dream ended. I think I did tell you this one.
Yeah, but it's incredibly interesting still, even hearing it for another time. I mean,
Yeah, you didn't
right
get all the details. I gave you the that.
right off the bat, I mean, there's this aspect of like being in DC again,
Mm-hmm.
which is very interesting because did you grow up there or did you just live there for a while?
I grew up there. So between I was born there, I lived in the city until I was about like 6 or 7. Then I moved to Maryland, and then I moved back to DC when I was 18. But I mean, it's so close. Like I was in and out of the city. Like I went to church in the city. So it's like where I was in Maryland was like the outskirts, the suburbs of DC.
So
So
it's
it's
so
home basically.
it's yeah, I was gonna say it's so interesting because you're having this kind of like experience of being home again. But things feel really weird. So like, seeing friends but not really wanting to engage and having aspects of your like waking life with you, like Sidori's stuffed animal and maybe food you like or whatever, and then someone coming and trying to take that sacred toy from you. which is odd in just in general. Like, why would someone take something that's, you know, sacred
It
to
was
you?
obviously a kid's, like it.
Yeah.
So Onyx is Sidori's, like it's probably about this big. It's a little black horse with like a little white. It's so cute. It's probably one of my favorites. And yeah, so I'm just like, this is obviously a child's plushie. Like, why are you taking this?
Yeah, and the fact that it's also one of your favorites kind of adds another layer to that, because it's not just Sidori's at that point. There's a little bit of like your own emotion intertwined in it. So it's like almost like a aspect of your inner child coming through and someone trying to like take that from you, which is frustrating. And then having kind of all of this commotion occur after you're trying to just do something as casual as shop. So you're shopping, you're looking for sales, you're doing whatever, and then all of this like intense, scary commotion happens. You're trying to find ways to like leave. Like, what stood out to me is going up to this attic and seeing a possible escape, but it being one, incomplete, and two, too cold to even leave. So it's like something's keeping you, like, if you're in this space, you're in this building, you know, say like houses and buildings kind of represent your mind, and different aspects of the building are different areas of your brain or different memories and where you store things. It's almost like there's an aspect of yourself that was trying to keep you from escaping whatever was going on, whatever those explosions were, you know, maybe symbolically within yourself had to be, you know, acknowledged. And then, of course, this aspect of you trying to leave and this person making your transition to leave more complex, and like being really critical of your, basically where your new, like yourself, like your true self, something you've been working on and working towards for so long, and just kind of like completely um taking that away from you in a way, not totally, but like when you have someone come up to you and they're like, oh, like I know you're Portia, like when you went through all of this experience of changing your name to something that's more true to you, and someone's being really cocky and condescending, and it's almost like, it's almost to me like an aspect of yourself, like a very tiny aspect of yourself is trying to fight you, and you're winning the battle. The person you are right now is winning that battle, even if the other aspect is making things more complex.
Yeah, you know, it's really, and so just reflecting on all of this, because this isn't the first time that someone's called me my birth name in my dream, but it's always like initially, I would say when I started experiencing that. And for those of you listeners that don't know, I legally changed my name, my whole name, last year. So about a year and a half ago. And so since then, I've been having, like, every so often I'll have a dream and someone will just call me Portia, which is my birth name. And they, it's like the first few times I was kind of caught me off guard. Like, I'm like, wait, who are you? How do you know my name? Or how do you know my name, that name? And then, but now the past few times it's been kind of, you know,
Malicious.
snarky way. Yeah, like there was
Yeah.
one time it was your mom. Your mom was like, "Okay, Portia," or something like
Yeah.
that. Like it was like very condescending, or like trying to put me in my place.
Right.
And so I'm kind of curious. I'm like, what is that about? Because I don't have any hate on my name Portia, or even, you know, that identity. I'm working to integrate it. So I don't know. Like you said, there's a little bit of like a part of me that is like fighting something, fighting that. And so I'm so curious too, because yeah, I'm just like, what is this?
It almost makes me feel like, because again, this tiny aspect, I mean, with any decision we make, there's aspects of doubt. And it's not necessarily doubt of the decision that we're making. It could be how people are going to see us, you know, how people are going to perceive us, what this is going to, you know, how, just there's a lot of different reasons why something like that might come up, why that doubt might come up. And it makes me think like it's not so much a reflection of yourself, but a reflection of maybe like other people. Like it's not you fighting yourself, it's you fighting yourself who's worried about someone else.
Well, yeah,
The perception.
it definitely, that makes sense because every so often I do get in my feelings, not anything like intense or that, well, I guess it still kind of lingers, but with my mom and my dad, like they call me Portia. And like I'm logically I'm okay with it because I'm like, they're my parents, especially my mother. She's the one that chose the name, and like my dad wasn't even there when I was born, so I'm just like, well, which I love my dad, so no
Yeah.
shade to him, but I'm just like,
It's
if
just a
anyone gets
funny
a pass, it's my
detail.
mother. But it does hurt. I will be honest, it does make me sad sometimes that I'm like, they don't see me. Like, and my dad is not like, it's not as weighted as it is with my mother, because it's not just with the name, it's with my passion and how I choose to live my life. And it just, she doesn't see me, there's that need to control. And so I could even see this woman, kind of reflecting her energy, because my mom would say that, like, okay, Portia, you know what I mean? And so I just, yeah, I do, like, I try to understand where they're coming from. But I think that my brother still calls me Portia, and I haven't really, like, he says, you like, he doesn't call me directly Urania, but he has acknowledged that I have a name change. But as far as like the rest of my family, because like all my aunts and uncles, like at least on my dad's side, they all call me Urania. Like all my cousins call me Urania. It's just that the people that are really the closest to me,
I
my
think
mother,
that's
my
what
brother,
makes
and
it
my
the
father and
most
my father.
difficult
Yeah.
because you expect the people who are the closest to you to be the most supportive, but a lot of the times it ends up being the opposite. I mean,
Yeah.
even like I don't talk about this often because I don't really care that much about putting myself in a box, but like I've mentioned here and there that like I'm, non-binary. And it's one of those things that just feels like, oh, they finally have a name for it. This makes sense. Like, I don't really feel super feminine and female. Like, I feel kind of like most of the time just an existing human blob. Like, that's it. But the recoil and the like, well, I just don't understand that. I'll just never understand that. And it's like, but you don't have to. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to understand. It's
Just
not
like
you.
respect.
It's
Yeah.
my experience. And even though I'm like whatever about it, every now and then, like bringing things up that are personal, that feel like they're being rejected,
Mm-hmm.
feels like a stab in the heart
Yeah, it
for the
definitely feels like,
closest people.
which has been kind of maybe a theme, I would say, throughout my life, where like it was like I'm almost like, it seems like, obviously people like me, but it's like I never fully fit in with any, like I have my communities now.
Hmm.
But initially, like growing up, like I have my friend group, but it's still like I never was like popular, or I would just do things that people didn't specifically, right, my parents, but
Right.
that they didn't agree with it or they didn't understand. Like my mom was like, now I'm accepted and I actually like it, but she would always say, oh, you're so weird, but it was like in a way that was like, it almost felt like an insult.
Oh
um
yeah.
like now she changed it to eccentric, because I guess she kind of picked up on that. Like I don't think she meant it that way, but it felt
Hmm.
that way. And so I've always felt like I've been on the outskirts of everything, or like didn't fit in. And so, wow, I don't know, I'm like about to get emotional, but yeah, so I definitely, I like what Jay says though. He said, well, the end of the dream was like you were taking control of your life and
Yeah.
leaving places behind. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And following my own truth, because the woman was like, oh, no, you should just put this.
You
Like,
said
no,
no.
literally no name. And I was like, no, I want to
No.
bolden in my name.
Yes.
So,
I'm going to write this with dark pen as hard as I can. And, there's something so beautiful about that. When I met you, you were Urania. Like you talked about like your name being Portia, whatever. I mean, your name on Instagram is Urania.
and that's
And
like what people, that's how it kind of started.
and
Like, I
it
always,
just fits. Like I see you as
yeah,
Urania. You are Urania. That's who I know you as. And for me, Portia doesn't fit. Like,
yeah,
it's just not you. So
yeah,
it was easy for me when you're going through your name changes because I didn't have to relearn your name. It just
right.
came naturally. Like I just saw you as who you were. But I completely understand that aspect. And it takes a very long time for that hurt to like dissipate completely, if it ever does, because there's something very sensitive about those people who are supposed to be close to us rejecting us, even if it's not their intention. Because a lot of the times I think that people just don't know how to accept other people for who they are. And there's a
Well, they
variety of
only want to
reasons.
see you. Everyone's familiar with the comfort or comfortable with the familiar. I guess
Yeah,
it's the same thing. So it's like, yeah, no, this is like I already figured you out. This is who you are. So when you flip the switch,
yeah.
then it can kind of be, especially for like parents, it could more than
Oh,
likely be destabilizing because it's like they've groomed you, they've raised you, they chose your name. And and I've thought about this too. I've had discussions with my daughter's father, like, what if Sidori wanted to change her name? I wouldn't care.
yeah,
He would have feelings about it. I mean, we definitely intentionally and we're very thoughtful about her name change. Not saying that my mom was, but I will roll my eyes at her story.
sure, yeah.
But yeah, but if she wanted to change it to something, like she said she has three names. So her name is Sidori. Then she says her last name is Rizzo, so that's her other name. And then Luna right now is her
Rizzo, like from the Muppets.
Is there a Rizzo Muppets?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
he's
isn't it the
he's
skinny
like the
one?
Brooklyn mouse or rat or whatever.
Oh shoot. Yeah, that's her dad's last name. That's her last name.
Oh, I didn't
Um
even know. I was like, I was thinking about the character.
yeah, no, it means like curly hair in Italian or something, which I was like,
That,
okay.
you know what? That makes a lot of sense for the character too.
Oh,
But
really?
it is one of those things too where um he doesn't have curly hair, but he's definitely like
Yes,
Italian
yeah.
New
Oh yeah,
Yorker
yeah. Yeah.
type energy, like very. And I'm
Yeah.
Italian, like I completely get that. But there's also people, parents especially. I'm not going to say that our generations don't do this, but I notice that parents who are our parents and older see their children as extensions of themselves
Oh
rather
yeah.
than their own being. I mean, even like my parents kind of did the same thing where it went from like I was weird to, well, now I'm like, now they call me Stevie Nicks, because
Oh, okay.
that's the
Yeah.
closest thing they can get
Because they're
to.
trying to figure you out. They want to pitch you, like figure you out, pitch you right here, and just like,
Yeah,
okay, you know.
absolutely, absolutely.
Or
I
even
mean,
like what to tell their friends. I feel like that's the thing that's hard for my mom, possibly, is like when it comes to work and how I live my life. Like I'm curious what she says. I have no idea, but I just hear her talk about her other friends' children. And so who are friends that I went to high school with. So it's like I know all of them.
right.
But so I hear her talk about them in certain ways. So I'm like, I wonder
Well,
what
and
she said about
comparison is
me.
the thief of joy. And when you're raised in an era where like you have to keep up with the Joneses in order to like fit into society. Like I was just talking about this last night with my husband. Like he was like, "Oh, people will choose certain aesthetics and I can no longer equate it to like their personality. Like when it was the 90s, if you looked punk, you were punk. If you looked like you were metal, you were metal. If you were like, now we're at a point where people choose different aspects from different aesthetics and they put it together as something completely
Mm,
unique in their own, and you can't put them in a box. And you know I, I did that. Like that was really my thing. Now, if you or at least people and have the like how that would be, a little more difficult. But at the same time, it's like I like a more abstract fluidness to existence. I don't need a box. I don't need to put people in boxes. But it's complex.
yeah, and I think that makes sense too with where we're going as a collective, as a society, or not society, but just our evolution as humans. We are coming together more into like we're starting to merge, not necessarily merge into one, but kind of blur the lines. And that definitely feels like Age of Aquarius, because that's like Aquarius is like fly your freak flag. Like we can all
Yeah.
coexist as
Yeah.
our
Embrace
individual
individuality.
selves. And that's like, I talk about Bashar all the time. And one of the things he mentions is that like the whole point is like we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to each other or try to be like anyone. You're here to be yourself, to be
Yep.
you, and to exist. This isn't like, it's not, we don't have the purpose of like, what is the right word? Homogenizing. I don't think that's the word, but basically like wanting everyone to be the same. No, we don't want everyone to be the same. We want to be authentically who we are and exist
Yes.
with each other, right? And to be in our passion and to follow our path. Like we don't have to all do the same thing. We're all unique and we can all coexist in that way. And so um that's some Age of Aquarius shit.
It
So
is, and I love it. I love that we're in that right now, at least with Pluto,
yeah,
because it is just I'm so excited because I'm at a point right now where when people are kind of like, "Oh, that person's too fat," or that person has, I don't like their tattoos, or I don't like their hair, and I'm like, "Why do you care what
yeah,
someone else is doing with their personal aesthetic? Why do you care?" Like maybe you should put that energy towards focusing on your own stuff. Like
yeah,
all that anger you have for someone else's aesthetic, why don't you put that energy towards finding your own interesting aesthetic that makes you happy? I'm over it. I've moved on from that.
yeah. So that was a nice way to yeah, that those are some nice interpretations there because I didn't really sit deeply with that, but we don't have to get into it now. But what I will say, what I'm really curious about now is the whole, like, what's the whole thing behind the cells? Like, why was I looking for a cell? Like
Um,
that's really interesting to me. I'm like,
so one thing that comes to mind right away when I think of sales is the accessibility to buy.
mm,
So when I think of, especially like for myself, when I was younger, I had a shopping addiction because I was really depressed and had ADHD and didn't know how to manage it. And the best way to manage it was that instant dopamine.
mm,
And sales were the most accessible thing for me to buy from. So, when I think about that, I think of accessibility, like what you're able to get that's quick and cheap but may not actually feel right, So when you take it home, you might not be happy with what you got because even though it was easy to you were able to buy it, it wasn't exactly what filled your soul.
yeah.
So how to translate that maybe into like that type of symbolism to like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
no,
that.
that makes sense. And also like the identity too, because I was looking for underwear. So that's a we don't even have to deep dive, but I like that. I like that Jace asked me or asked us sell or sell. Because I don't know. I have like the way I pronounce stuff. So he's at SALE or CELL. So
I
it was
first
S
thought you meant like a cell phone or jail cell or
oh
whatever.
yeah.
But when you were like, "Oh, I went to Victoria's Secret
Victoria's
and I
Secret.
saw
Yeah.
their cell," I was like, "Oh, sale."
Sale.
It's just, it's
I
pronounced
got
it's
I have an accent
it's
apparently.
fine. I
No,
knew
I
what
know.
you were talking
I
about.
just thought I was funny because when I was saying it, I was like, also, why am I saying it this
I
way?
think you do the same thing with whale.
Whale, whale. How do you say well?
Whale.
Whale. What do I say? Well. Oh, did I say well? Well.
You say well when it's in like
I
when
like it's something with the L's because with feel, like I will say feel. I don't know. Heal. Anyway.
George says axed when you're like oh, he asked a question. He for his entire life has said axed, like it's an X,
Oh,
not
so
an
many people say
SK,
that.
and
Who
it's
says
one of
that?
the my husband,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's just
My
like one of
dad.
those things that I always laugh at, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you
Oh, there's
axed.
tons of people like black people be saying it like that. Like,
There's
yeah,
so many things that I say that aren't right, and like I'll be like, you know what, I don't even give a shit if it's not right, like
I
even
just
with
say I
certain
have an
brands
accent. I just say I have an accent.
that works
But
too.
anyways, I'm feeling, oh my gosh, my spirit is so like higher. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jace. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Alexis. All
You're
right, we're
welcome.
pulling cards for the message here
Oh,
for this new
oh,
season. So let's see what I get.
mine jumped out.
All right, you go first.
Okay. So the deck I am using today is the Dreamy Moons Oracle Bloom. It's really, really pretty. It's got blue gold foil on it, and the card that jumped out was number 26, Sunflower, Face the Light. So you can
Ooh,
see
love that.
I haven't used this in forever. So 26, where are you? Okay. Unfurl your petals and smile at the sun. You might be in a difficult phase right now, but there is light to be found even in the darkest of times. This light will never go out, no matter what. Find your light and allow it to shine upon you. Feel the rays piercing through your skin, right into your heart center. Fill yourself with light. This card is also a sign to celebrate yourself. Accept the love, the compliments, and praise you deserve. For someone who is so used to giving, it can be difficult to receive. Understand that what goes around comes around, and you are receiving this love because you are love. I love that.
Wow.
I
I,
love that. I
I
mean,
needed to hear that today.
I did too, especially like this, the last couple weeks have been really, really intense. Um, and just hearing this type of energy, like this type of vibe, this type of thing, like you need to see your own light, you need to accept the love and all that is given to you, receive the way you can. I love that. And then, even your dream that you shared, like
Yeah.
even if that aspect of yourself that is, feeding, not, I don't want to say feeding off of that rejection type energy from others, it's playing its tiniest role. So it almost feels like accept like yourself and celebrate yourself too, even at like even that relates. My words weren't doing the thing, but
No, but
I
I got
feel
you.
I feel like you got me.
Accept yourself. Yeah. And
Accept
that's what
yourself.
I'm slowly, I'm like over the hump now though, with it all because I've told, yeah, I'm this whole, I feel like it's, wow. What I was going to say, it's like, I feel that it's like a fight for my life, like who's in control. And as I was saying this, like it made me think of my grandmother's book in the moment of saying that because the name of my grandmother's book that it was like all of her journals in one, but it was like her last journal basically right before she died, and it was called The Fight to Live. Or like my mom turned it into a book named Fight to Live, and I think my grandmother wrote that somewhere in her journals.
Wow.
I'm like, holy shit.
That's wow.
All right, grandma. So yeah, no, I feel that, and definitely just like going through so much recently. I needed to hear that. That was spot on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so I pulled a or received a tarot card for us from my Dream of Nile tarot deck. It's the
That is
Egyptian deck,
gorgeous deck.
and it's kind of alien like, which I love. All right, so we received initiation. You can see that there's kind
Ooh,
of like there's a little embryo in the center of
that
it. I know my
is
light is probably
that's
yeah.
gorgeous.
So this is the zero card, which essentially is like the full card. The key term here is, as I mentioned, initiation. I believe that's Horus probably on this. But yeah, and then there's the mummy. So it's like the mummy, the embryo, and the grand rising of Horus, I believe that is. But let's see
It
what the
feels like
guide.
as above, so below type energy.
Yeah, right.
So
I love
beautiful.
it. So this is the moment of incarnation. Here we witness a soul on the brink of incarnating into a human form, poised and ready to experience the wonders of our world. Beneath the gaze of sun god Ra, the deity of light, life, kingship, and the first sunrise. Oh, so that might be Ra. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to confuse us. Anyway, the energy wave encircling the soul represents the human DNA. It's a symbol of our deep connection to every being that came before us. Stepping into a human form is sacred initiation. It's filled with hope, anticipation, and the mysteries. With the blessings of the sun god, this soul is about to embark on a heartfelt journey to discover life's deepest truth and purpose. So, um, hold on, sorry, one sec. Okay, so here's the actual meaning. So the keywords here are new beginnings, adventure, innocence, risk taking, unpredictability, and spontaneity. This card embodies the spirit of new beginnings, boundless possibilities, and a leap into the unknown. Like a traveler embarking on a journey with no set path, this card encourages embracing unpredictability and trusting the process. It signifies spontaneity, innocence, and taking risks without the fear of where they might lead. In readings, this card might suggest embarking on a new adventure, trusting one's instincts, or being open to unexpected opportunities.
I love
Wow.
that. It
So,
also just coincides with the new moon.
yeah, exactly. The new moon and how we were talking about a cleansing and with eclipses, that is like a door opening and a door closing. And so yeah, there's going to be the full moon eclipse in Pisces during this Virgo season. So during this Virgo lunar cycle. And then, as we mentioned, there's also going to be another Virgo new moon that's going to be an eclipse right before the equinox. So, yeah, we're going to be rebirthed through this energy, rebirth. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So this is raw. That'll be raw there. I thought it was
Yeah, that's a beautiful card. Beautiful
right.
deck. Thank you.
Yes, I love
I
this deck.
love
I
that.
haven't used it in forever, so I think it's time. Yeah, so thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for sharing love and thoughts in the comments here, your perspective. Really appreciate it. And we will be back next week with a dream symbols episode for you guys. And so until then, sweet dreams, everyone. Happy new
Sweet
moon.
dreams. Happy new moon.